Call the council meeting of May 9th, 2023 to order at 7 p.m. Hillary, please call the roll.
Mayor Lockenbrook,
Here.
Council President Isom,
Here.
Councilor Lacoste,
Here.
Councilor Lorenzen,
Here.
Councilor McMillan, Councilor Romer,
Here.
Councilor Strauss.
Here.
Please rise for pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have quite the crowd tonight. That's nice. I want to thank everyone who took time to be here and who's online. Thank you for showing for the mixed media, as it were. Have you that are here signed in? Okay, awesome. Cut down any background noise and feedback. Remote attendees should mute themselves while not speaking. Members of the public are welcome to unmute themselves to speak during citizen comments. Next item on the agenda is council minutes from April 12, 2023. Are there any corrections? I'd entertain a motion.
I move that the governing body of the city of Halsey approve the April 11 council meeting minutes as submitted. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda. Is financial reports for April. Are there any questions, discussion, concerns, comments? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that the governing body of the city of Halsey approve the April 2023 financial reports and journal entries as submitted.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So next item on the agenda is the agenda adjustments. Are there any adjustments this evening, Hillary?
With council's permission, I'd like to move Federal School District and the Rural Economic Alliance Strategic Plan under delegations.
Okay.
And I'd further like to ask if Councilor Pelt can present before the Wayne County Sheriff's Office because she has other obligations.
Okay. Sounds good. So, and that takes us to delegations. Let's start off. with you.
Thank you. Thank you for moving me up this way. I have a child, a 13-year-old to pick up in Corvallis, so not having her run around sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
So I'm here today. I am Candace Pelt, the superintendent for the school district of Central Lynn, and I just want to give you some updates of what we're doing and the great work that's happening. I'll give you a chance to ask questions and find out what's going on. So we have just finished our strategic plan, and this has been a lot of work for this last year that we've invested time in this. Go to the next slide. So out of this work, we developed a vision statement, and this statement was crafted by students, families, community members, and then resent back out for survey comments. There was 2 drafts. People voted on which one they liked. This became the winner. So through education, we prepare well-rounded, competent, and responsible individuals who aspire to achieve their full potential in their future endeavors. So that's our adopted vision for Central Lynn, which is brand new and exciting. And then through this, we listened to many voices. So it took an entire year to go through this process. We held 14 different listening sessions. I went to different groups. I went to Chamber and to American Legion, been in many places talking about what we're doing, getting feedback. We had 177 respondents on our survey, which is a good number for us to remember. And everybody had an opportunity to weigh in. We also had 22 people on our steering committee that comprised students, staff members, parents, community members, alumni, Chamber from Brownsville, all participating, reviewing the data, looking at all of it, double checking it twice to say, what do we want? What does the community want for the school district? And that's what became the driving vision of the strategic plan. So it really is the community's plan for the schools. So where we landed are 5 pillars and goals under each of those. So the top 3 pillars are around our students. So the first one, we're in a business of education. So our first pillar is we want to have really excellent teaching. We're going to call this engaged learning. This is high quality instruction. This is focused attention and really, really rigorous content where we are producing lots of learners who are excited about their work. They're coming to school and they're leaving ready to tackle the world. Our second one is enrichment. We believe strongly, and the community support was overwhelming, that students need to be connected in multiple parts of their day to the community, to trades, to events, to different options other than college only. So when we look at enrichment, we're looking at many, many pieces of that, including expanding our career options in our trade school as we develop that through Central Lynn High School. And also thinking about our youngest students, how do we keep them interested and connected? We know overwhelming evidence in both our data, statewide data, national data, students who are involved in at least one activity have a 50% greater chance of graduating. Just one activity, if we can get them to latch onto a football team or a choir group or something that they are feeling passionate about. Where we're losing kids in Central Lynn and others is when there's nothing. They have nothing they're connecting to. And so part of our reach is going to be, how do we get all of our kids to feel like there is something of value that I am excited about in this school? And so we're going to be really expanding some of those options to reach every kid. That's the goal. The last student one is culture of learning. And this is really thinking about, we need safe environments. We need our students to feel safe and our staff to feel safe. We need people to know that our schools are places where learning is the foremost priority. That's what we're working towards, where they have everything they need to make that happen. Really important in the feedback we received was supporting and amplifying and improving family and community engagement. We heard loud and clear that this was a dwindling problem in Central Lynn for a while, that families didn't feel like this was their school. The community felt like it's disconnected. There's many parts to Central Lynn. It's not really us. And so we have vested interest and time and a goal specific to this. We're looking at what are the options and opportunities for families to be involved, for partnerships in the community, for internships for students, where we're connecting them specifically with community connections. And then the last one is we can't do any of this without our extraordinary staff, and we need to continually invest in them and grow them. And so this is going to be really spending time thinking about them becoming excellent professionals in their craft and growing their skill set so that we can achieve all the way through. Because teaching is complex and difficult. And if you've ever spent time in a room with small children, you can imagine it's not an easy endeavor, right? And it's ever changing. And so our job is to make sure our staff have all of the tools they need to keep growing and learning to support their work, to support our students. So those are our pillars and our goals. And then what we've promised our board in this endeavor and our community is that we're going to be very public about this. We're going to talk about our goals frequently, and we're going to be really transparent at how we're doing. So we're going to have a scorecard that's produced every quarter on each of these goals. And we're going to look at the different areas and talk for engaged learning. What are our reading scores? What are our math scores? And making that very readily available, because right now, I bet if you try to find it, it's not so much. It's a little bit hidden. You can look for some state data, you can kind of grab things. But our goal in this is to make sure everybody in the community understands where we're at. So our data is our data. We're not going to hide behind it. We're going to say this is where we're at. And we have some work to do. And we have some growth to have. And that's great. And we're going to look at that as a huge opportunity for us. With enrichment, we're going to be looking at the percentage of students who are engaged, as I talked about, in at least one activity. And then increasing the percentage of students engaged in outside experiences embedded with the school. So really intentional partnerships and internships, of work experiences, of time where they are coming and learning about different pieces of their community. Culture for learning, this is really going to be student feedback and voice, where they can respond to us. I have everything I need to feel safe and supported in school. I have all of the tools I need. I know that my teachers care about me. I have a trusted adult. So we're gonna take that data and we're gonna look to grow it year over year. And then the last two have the same thing, so family and community engagement. This is based off a parent survey, parent and community workshops, and also external partnerships and the number of them. And so as we report on this, you see a scorecard, you should know what some of these things are. Oh, that's where this aligns to. And so if it is red because it's not yet where we want it, that's okay. That just means it's an area we're gonna lean into and spend. And our last one is our extraordinary staff I mentioned, and this is going to be both employee survey, but also professional learning growth and opportunity. And from that investment in our teachers and our staff, we should see that first pillar and the second pillar grow. Right? We should see better scores and better outcomes, both in reading and math and in graduation for Central. So if you see this around, this is going to be what we start marketing with. Is our all the pillars I just went through for you, a strategic plan, focusing on instruction, focusing on care, focusing on our students. It's a lot of our work and attention. And really having a plan that follows that and being very open and public with everybody about where we're at, what we're spending money on, where we're spending time, and how we're working to get better. And then last steps, I want to bring you, not related to our strategic plan in concept yet, but it does touch on the enrichment piece. So an exciting project, and you might hear rumblings about it or start to see this. We are underway of tearing down the old CTE Ag building. And we're going to be replacing that with a new building. We received $800,000 from the ESSER funds in a grant. And then we have been saving money in a maintenance reserve fund to do the rest. So the exciting part of this is phase one is we're going to have the demolition this summer. We already have bids and today was the final bid day. So we're looking at that and then starting the shell construction. And it's really going to be a nice shop with a big space, concrete floors. And so that's what we're going to get to start with. That's phase one, where we can have wood, metal, and we're going to add in construction classes. We have 3 series of construction, beginning, intermediate, and advanced construction that are going to start as soon as we have the shell up. We're hoping our anticipated time is this winter. What's really important about this project is it's not going to be finished as it starts. It's not a bonded project. It's not used with any other funds, but what we can generate locally. And so the second phase, when we want to start to build this out, we have to wait until we have cash. Similar to you guys when you do internal projects, you just kind of got to go at the speed of cash, which means not everything goes when you want, right? But we need to utilize these grant funds, so we're going to capitalize on that and get it started in 2024. So the second phase in fall of 2024, we're going to have a whole culinary being built out. So we're going to have a string of culinary classes, an equipped kitchen, pretty advanced. We have some culinary happening right now, but it's in the aging part of the building. The equipment doesn't work as well. The septic system doesn't love all the food going through. So we're struggling with some of them. And then the third one, the exciting one that we have heard from the community over and over is we're going to be building the mechanic bay. And that's going to have 2 different options. And one is going to be the ag mechanic and growing that program. And the other is going to be the auto mechanics. And we're looking at fall of 2025. So with that, I would take any questions if you guys have them.
Awesome.
That was my spiel. Just wanted to give you here's what we're doing.
Appreciate it.
Glad to see some positive forward motion.
It is positive. A lot of great things happening.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we have such an amazing alum in Central. It has been fantastic to see. So thank you very much for the time. I appreciate it and the interest.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Candace.
So next is the real.
You want to do Lynn County Sheriff?
Lynn County Sheriff.
He's hiding still.
I'll make this quick. I'm not as good at as she is.
She definitely has a good.
Only 6 pages of calls, 5.5 really. I made a couple of notes of some calls and things that I might have questions on because the narratives that the deputies put in there were pretty vague. So on page 1, the very last call there's a theft of services call. So what that was it was a duplex and one neighbor got extremely intoxicated, went over to the other neighbor's place while he was gone, turned on water. And tried to run up his water bill on purpose and rip off cameras and doorbell and stuff like that. So he ended up going to jail. He blew over 2 times the legal limit as BAC. So alcohol was definitely a factor in that. Page 5. There's a note in there that deputies were investigating a tire slashing. For the most part, that's been completed. A juvenile female flashed the tire of another juvenile female, and as you can imagine, it was over a boy. So that's being worked out between law enforcement and both parents trying to arrange that, the purchase of a new tire. Last call on page 6, kind of interesting. We went to a residence because somebody found a bullet hole in their fence. I really don't know a ton about that. What was found there, it was a hole in the fence that is believed to be a bullet. However, if you look through the entire calls this month, we never got a call or reports about shots fired. And that was in the 400 block of Second, which if somebody was shooting a gun, I would hope we get a call.
Right.
And I'm sure it would generate numerous calls. So if you hear something, call us, see something, call us. But we just kind of have a hole in the fence to go off of, so deputies went out there and took some pictures, just documented. But we don't have any casings or any proof it was actually a bullet that caused that. So I just want to be a little clear on that, because the narrative was sounded like bullets were being shot around. Any questions? It was, I mean, kind of a typical month of holiday, pretty similar.
We like that.
Only 33 calls for service, but I think more than half of those were self-initiated by deputies. Not a lot of calls that we were asked to respond to. So,
It's a good thing.
yeah. Any questions? Give me one.
When's the last time they had an officer out there during the school with the light was flashed? Got past to get there. The light was flashing, got past, and it's twice that time.
So I got you. I get multiple deputies drive through there every single day. I can tell you, along with OSP. So if we see something out there, we will absolutely address it. But that's also heavily patrolled by OSP. If there's crashes on Highway 228, we'll assist with those, but we don't investigate those crashes either. So trying to get in touch with OSP for extra patrols out there would also be super beneficial. Yeah, Highway 99 and Highway 228, you guys will see us using as travel routes. Occasionally you'll see us stop cars. But really, the taxpayers in our services go to like the cities and rural county roads. We work obviously really close with Central Lynn with regards to traffic stops and traffic complaints, crashes and whatnot on highways. Those are investigated by OSP unless it happens in front of us. Of course, then we'll see about it. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head when somebody.
I know sometimes they do state people out for that, just to caution people to slow down. It's been a while since I've seen it out there.
I got you.
It was in the report that there was school zone.
Yeah, I think there was a couple even, traffic the last few months with the construction going through town. Obviously has changed things a lot, right? And so traffic is being diverted to side roads. And there's a couple calls in here where deputies are putting a little more time there and creating calls that there's one focus patrol on for stop sign violations and speeding on First near the intersections of E and D. It's because people are getting frustrated with the traffic and the congestion. So they're going down side roads, trying to get out to areas faster. So we are moving a little more out of the community's visual to the side roads. you know, so. Yeah, I can't wait for this to be finished, and I know. No, there's a bunch of other small cities that are working. On the access for folks, it's just taking a very long time. No fault of the cities, of course, but tons of contractors involved, but a lot of cities are in this position right now with the construction. That's a good question. Anything else?
Anyone? Thank you much.
All right,
Be safe.
all right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now we can go. Got it?
Thank you, Mayor Lockenbrook, members of council. I have no discussion about juvenile slashing tires or littles and fences. It's gonna be
Well, that might
way
be-
more mundane than that, but it is a strategic plan that we came to talk about tonight. Hillary, thank you for inviting me over. About a year ago, I stood in front of council and said we were looking to extend an agreement with 9 cities and in 2 counties with our Rural Economic Alliance opportunity, and we've been very busy since. We've completed a website, and recently we've got the strategic plan done, and Hillary and I think, are the tag team back and forth. So that is my opening statement.
I think we should go to the next slide. That was a great. opening.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So these are all the partners in our agreement now. As Scott said, 9 cities, 2 counties, Business Oregon, we received grant funds from them. I think we could even have Rain's logo on there because they are also a partner. So, and also provide support to entrepreneurs in our community. So it's our partnership.
Is Tangent a new one?
Andrew joined us.
Oh, awesome.
So our mission, and this came out of the visioning, mission work we were doing last year, is building a thriving business economy throughout our rural communities. And the premise of this group is we do that together. If there's workforce problems in this area, it's not going to affect just one community, it's going to affect all of them. So we build up the resources each of our, in this region, it benefits each of our communities.
Yeah, the fantastic thing about this group, pretty clearly, you guys can read the core values, but I think one of the things that this core value really doesn't talk about is the amount of years that we've kept everybody together, right? This is a grassroots effort without a board, with council members, with city administrators,
Without a budget.
without a budget, with shoestrings and pickup sticks. For those of you who remember what that is. So I think it's a fantastic testament to a regional approach that's actually working. And we're actually very excited about this. But again, the collaboration and the resourcefulness is amazing. For, like I said, the last time I was here, the thing that's fantastic is with Hillary and Scott and our staffs, we have a million hats on. That's a little bit exaggerated, but not by far. We do a lot of things for our communities every single day. And sometimes the things like economic development, we don't have the expertise or the time to really dig into. We might have the expertise, but just flat out don't have the time. So the fantastic thing about this collaboration that strikes to this is the partnership where you have Blair Larson, who is trained as an economic development person with a master's degree in Sweden. We've got Kelly Hart and Alicia Rogers over in Lebanon. So we can hear their stories, hear their experiences, bounce our ideas. And when we start leveraging Benton County, we've also got some fantastic people over there. And so again, this is about making ourselves, like I said, making ourselves bigger in a bigger region and taking the benefits from that. And I feel that that's certainly been happening and will continue, as you see, as we continue through the slides.
So through this strategic planning process, we did surveys. We worked with Kinesis. There was a survey, there were interviews with business owners across our communities. I don't have Candace's stats for you. I'm sorry. I was listening to her thinking, oh no. But out of that, we came out with that feedback with 6 areas to work on for economic development in our region. Retention and expansion of existing businesses, recruitment of new businesses to empty land, land use law because it impacts how our land is usable and also it impacts whether or not businesses can operate successfully here. Entrepreneurship, because in rural communities, that really is a bright spark of growth. Somebody can start a very small business with not a lot of capital, and so they can get launched with just a little bit of extra help. And then advocacy, that really connects a little bit to that land use piece, but trying to make sure that this region has the tools and the resources it needs, and sometimes that takes some advocacy, that takes some convincing, some storytelling, so that people hear our voices too. And then marketing and stakeholder engagement, partly so that we are more visible to the people that we most want to help, and also so that we are visible to funding agencies, to businesses. One of our skipping ahead, I want to skip ahead. But yes, marketing stakeholder engagement. Okay, I just trying to.
85% of the stats are made up on thought anyway. And you know, Abraham Lincoln said that 50% of what you read on the internet's not true. You guys are awake. I love it. You know, if you can't be anything, be entertaining, right? There's an old saying is, you know, if you can't be something, be useful. Retention and expansion and recruitment, these two slides are really a great thrust and focus of what economic development, really the moving parts of what it actually does and is in our community. If we can retain the businesses that we have, that's fantastic. That's better than having to go out and grab somebody or recruit somebody, right? Retaining what we have. So what we've done and what we're building around is that I think the things I would point you to look at here is, you know, the technical resources that we're able to talk about. Councilor Isom talked about Nate and the ability that he has and the ability that Rain brings to the table for the technical assistance programs that they're doing. And then facilitating connections. You know, the thing that's fantastic is maybe there's a shop in Sweet Home that's doing something, and there's a shop in Philomath that's synergistic to what they're doing, but they had no idea that each other existed, right? The other thing about this that's fantastic in my view, which is one of the reasons why we started this as an idea, is we're in between two unbelievable research universities, University of Oregon and Oregon State University. And let's not sell Lynn Benton Community College short either, right? We have some amazing talent coming out of these universities. And unfortunately, these people are going and opening businesses in South Dakota, South Carolina. There's another state that starts with South. Sorry, got to carry away on the South. Indiana, Utah, wherever they're going, they're not staying here. And what we would, that one of the focuses that we wanted to do is like, hey, let's keep the talent that we're growing in our state. That's creating economy, that's creating jobs, and that's what we need to be doing. So that's where we're really heavily looking around that retention, expansion, and recruitment. Same thing here. And we're able to use that Business Oregon partnership to be ready as things come through. Incentive packages, that goes back to what Hillary was alluding to a minute ago with some of the advocacy pieces, which we'll come back to that in a little bit, but making sure that we're up on what's there. That partnership with Business Oregon is very important, because when we get a call on Wednesday and they say, hey, we've got X business, they're looking for something, you know, they were down in Lane County, they talked to Eugene, Eugene's like, no, Corvallis, they had a meeting that afternoon, they're going to leave on Friday. Do you have anybody they can talk to, right? I can get on the phone to Hillary, Hillary can call Jerry, I can call Adam. In a minute, we can have a few people at the table and we can meet with them and see what that opportunity is and see if it makes sense for our region. And maybe if it doesn't make sense for Halsey or Brownsville, maybe it makes sense for Lebanon or Philomath, right? So we keep that business in our area because, as you all know, most of the people in our communities commute, right? My wife works in Corvallis, you know, blah, 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 you know the story. So anything that we can do to build that economy in our region is golden for all of us.
So land use, and we're all very familiar with wetlands issues around here, but there are, one of the things we've set as a goal here is to create a regional inventory so that we know what land is available in this region. So if somebody comes to me and I don't have the right lane for them, but I know that Harrisburg does or Brownsville does, we can make that handoff, we can make an introduction, we can make sure that person makes that connection and they get the support they need. And will be faster and smarter if we have an inventory of that. Looking at growth and expansion capabilities, looking at, again, being able to build off other communities with that. Oregon Prospector and Business Oregon let us be responsive to potential recruitments from out of state. If we have our land listed on there, if we have the script described whether it's available and what the amenities are there. It'll let us participate in a way that we haven't been able to in the past because we don't have a centralized economic development organization here. Entrepreneurships we mentioned, by maximizing partnerships, helping entrepreneurs connect with other entrepreneurs that have the skills they need or potentially some benefit and some collaboration, training opportunities, materials and resources, and funding mechanisms. That's one of the things that RAIN does is seeks angel investors and tries to connect those with entrepreneurs. The prior slide had don't try to go backwards, it's okay. It had a micro grant program listed at the bottom of that retention, but that also feeds into something like that also feeds into entrepreneurship. That is not currently funded, but it's a personal mission, something I really care about trying to get funded. I think we all have known somebody running a business in the past, or have run one ourselves, where you just need that little tiny bit. You just need that computer. You just need to be able to fix your fridge. You just need that one little thing to get you over the threshold. And we don't have funding for that yet, but that's one of the things we're going to be working on in this 5 years, is try to make connections with businesses, with utility companies, see if we can get that off the ground, because I think that's one of the most powerful things we could do in this region, if we could just be able to hand somebody a little bit of money to get that one little thing that they need.
And we really feel good about entrepreneurship. I know we've had things with RAIN, but anything that we can do in our communities, and when I say our, I mean Brownsville and Halston, right? It's very specific. I think that where the economy is going is a lot of people, even before the pandemic, were working from home and working at home and creating businesses at home, right? I've got several businesses in Brownsville that you wouldn't even know they were a business because they get their shipments, they do their thing, it's all online, they take care of it, and they're able to make a family wage job from their home. So to me, that's where our future economy is in our small rural towns like this. And we've got fantastic internet, we've got the things people want, we got an awesome place to live. I mean, look at the sunset, right? You're right there's the coast, over here's the mountains, you know, you're not that far from Portland, but you're not close enough to be that terrified. So and that's their location. Okay, so we keep beating the advocacy drum because it's very important. By us being able to leverage partners, we keep talking about collaboration, leverage, and all of these things. But by building our stories and making these things happen, we were able to get funding with RAIN, through RAIN, by RAIN, with Business Oregon because of this partnership. If Hillary goes out or Scott goes out on their own, that's weird to talk about yourself in third person, or Michelle goes out and is looking for something and they put a grant together, odds are they might not get funded just because it's just one city. But when we put something together, wow, they're like, wow, there's 9 cities in this thing. We're really doing it. So we really do get that kind of attention and get that drive. Same thing from an advocacy standpoint. If we can push our issues, whatever they are, collectively, because many of them are shared issues, we're going to be, we give ourselves a bigger voice to where we're actually heard and we actually can get a seat at the table, which is cool because that's been happening more and more. We got a ton of assets. It's absolutely right. Absolutely. Not only city beauty, but functionality. Good point. Thank you. Marketing and stakeholders. Again, we've come a long way on this in terms of what we're doing with our website and how we're moving around on this issue. Again, highlighting some of the things, all of the things that we already have. Employers are finding, if we want to talk about stats, employers are finding more and more that people are interested in quality of life issues, which really makes our neck of the woods, I think, extremely valuable. By the time you had the hiking and the kayaking and the fishing and the hunting and the brewers and the wineries and everything else that people like to do, you can't really find a better place than this area. So eventually what we'll do during the 5 years is we will develop an annual report and folks will come and deliver what we've done for the year. But very proud of the group so far, what we've done this year. Thanks to this. Oh, that's it. All right.
So just a tag, just an end note, one of the things that we tried very hard to do with this plan was give ourselves concrete action steps to be working on. And also on each page, you'll see success indicators. We need to learn to measure. We need to learn to measure our impact. If we're gonna put time into this, we're gonna ultimately invest resources in it. So with each of our pillars, we have those action steps, but we also have things that we're gonna try to capture. And some of them are statistical and things you can count, and some of them are stories and anecdotal pieces, because that is also a part of this, that quality of life, that person who can make their living out of their home. That's a piece of this too, so. That's our strategic plan.
Awesome.
Very thorough.
So thank you all for continuing the partnership, because Halsey is very important. Every community that's in this is very important, and we couldn't be excited. We've got a lot of work done this year, and everybody's excited to get going on the next steps, so we appreciate your support. I don't want to. Dang it.
Oh,
Yeah.
also I should mention that Real has applied for its own rare student for this coming year. And that will be one of the mechanisms we use to start working through some of the steps in the strategic.
Any questions, comments? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. See you. See you, everybody.
Going back up the schedule, next item is citizen comments. This is time for anyone in the audience to comment. Keep comments to about 3 minutes. Anybody? Going once? Going twice? Moving on. The next item on the agenda is reports to council. I'll start off with the employee reports. See Mr. Aaron.
The library 5K went well. Thank you, several of you came to help and cheer and clap and move things around and solve problems, and it was very much appreciated. We hadn't done the event for several years. Even prior to COVID, I don't think I was actively involved in the last we did then. So we did a lot of learning, and we really enjoyed it. We want to do it again, but we definitely had sort of a post-game breakdown where we went through and figured out what we could do better next time and all of that. So the Arbor Day tree planting, I'm sorry I missed that, but several of you didn't. And the Lions Club came out and helped with that. One person came out and helped with that with one arm. So, and we have 4 new trees planted in the park and 1 north of City Hall. It's a second star magnolia to honor Rella. The well engineering kickoff meeting happened with Andy and I and the 2 engineers.
Actually, you had 2 with 1 arm.
Did we?
Yes,
All right,
Karen Scranage.
all right,
She only has the use of 1 arm.
okay. So discussed was possible locations. It'll be within the shop yard, but trying to figure out where that can go. Logistics of amending the permit and maintaining the water rights, telemetry, implement the new well. Logistics of connecting to the existing water plant. They asked us for a lot of maps and materials and master plans and documents, and we gave them all that, and they will also come out in person. We do actually have a clipboard at the desk for 3rd Thursday sign-ups. And I think Maddie captured the ones that emailed us, but if anybody hasn't had a chance to sign up, that's available for you. The Small Municipalities Advocacy Coalition that we talked about 2 meetings ago, council decided to proceed with. That IGA was actually ready, so after I wrote this, I found that and I included it in the packet, so sorry about that. Blackstone will be doing some street patching around town. The East B Street project will be later in the summer. The SLEDS grant, Julia is working with Gabriel from Library and Parks Committee to write a SLEDS grant for climbing structure for the park. I think that was actually submitted. And one of her missions with the RARE program is to help a community build capacity. So it's very exciting that he wanted to learn how to be a grant writer. It's very exciting that she was able to help him develop those skills, because he will still be here after she leaves and he wants to continue to be involved with this. So that's a win, not just because that particular grant was applied for, but because we have a new passionate volunteer that gains new skills.
Hallelujah.
The May newsletter was really full, so the posting for an upcoming opening on council did not appear in that, but it will appear in June, and we will have those applications available on the website ready to hand out. And this is short notice for you, but there is a regional League of Oregon Cities meeting this Friday from 11 to 2. I'm sorry, 11 to 1 in Cottage Grove. They do serve lunch. This is not just a small cities meeting, it's a regional meeting, so it'll have some of the larger cities there as well. And I think they are going to start delivering their strategic plan. So if you haven't had enough strategic plans this week, you can come listen to one more, but they will feed you. So if you want to attend, please let me know and I will get us signed up, and that's it for my report.
Thank you, Hillary.
On the well engineering, the water rights, it's some point I seem to recall that if it stays within a certain distance to the original well, you get to maintain it. Is 100 feet or something like that?
Yeah, it's within 500 feet.
Well, 500 feet.
So, and that's not gonna be impossible to do on that lot. And we could still, it just simplifies the application process. You could still apply to move the water right. But say if it's within that distance, we can just amend the existing water right. It just makes it a little bit easier.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Thank you very much. So next we move on to the Public Works Department. Andy.
I'll just apologize because Andy is sick, so
Okay.
you're still gonna listen to me talk.
Okay.
So we did our annual water usage report and annual INI report. There was a CL2 tank repair at the water treatment plant. And Andy helped me gather information for the engineers for the new well. Our wastewater discharge season is over, yay. We had 2 drainage improvements, one at West Fourth and one on East B and Third. We did the East B and Third one because that's about to be paved, so it was a great opportunity. If we're gonna cut up the asphalt, let's do it now and not later. So we have another couple on our list for this year that we're gonna try to do as well. They also set up for some of the concrete patching that needs to happen in town, so they've been building forms. And they mow right of ways. We're definitely in our mowing season. The train cover has light fixtures. I haven't remembered to go by at night, but I'm told by somebody who did that it's really beautiful, so I'm definitely doing that. They're also, if you came in downstairs, you may have noticed there's 2 empty areas on each side of our entrance. Those will have the bike rack and the water fountain that Julia was able to get for us with a grant. They've set up the forms to pour that, but they haven't poured it yet. They want to do all the concrete at once because it's a lot cheaper if we do it all at once. And then they did a bunch of park maintenance since we're headed into summer, spreading more park playground cover for safety under the structures. They were involved with they helped with 5K with the tree planting. They mowed the Veterans Memorial Park and they replaced Victor Smolden's restroom in the park. Unfortunately, we had some vandalism. They got everything, the soap dispenser, the toilet paper dispenser, the trash receptacle, everything in there was destroyed. So we've repaired that. The mowers both got tune-ups and they've been doing a lot.
Well done, not Andy.
I will try to answer questions.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Castellano, thank you for Public Works for
Yes.
redigging the holes because they're.
Yeah.
the rocks we would have gotten rid of.
All right.
We would have been there for days.
Yeah. Yep, that would not have been good.
It's very much appreciated.
I will tell you.
And moving on to the library report with Abby.
So I'm excited to tell you that we had an overall threshold count of 111 patrons who visited us last month, which is the highest this year so far. So very exciting. That's an average of 5.5 patrons per day. So yeah, that's very exciting. The only big difference in the collection is that we finally got all of the Oregon Battle of the books delivered and into circulation. So we have 48 new books because of that. Which brings our book inventory total to over 82,000. The 5K was on April 22nd. I feel like that went really well. I think people had fun. And then we did Arbor Day on the 28th. There was kind of a weird incident, but a bunch of trees kind of went missing
Oh,
that I had left in the back to be picked up by Public Works. Just all of them were gone when I came back. So
Huh.
we have a few people took some. I hope it wasn't one person stole.
It was somebody who really needed them and used them.
If they planted them all, that's good.
That's
If
what I'm
they-
saying, but-
They needed to take all of them.
Well, yeah,
That was actually, the other half had been given away here at City Hall, so it wasn't all of the trees that we
Right.
bought, it was just all of
Yeah.
them that were still around that weekend.
so, okay.
Unfortunate, but maybe they're really passionate about trees.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, and then the next event or events really is just, I'm planning for the summer reading program. So far, that's going pretty well. We have all of our presenters or performers lined up already. So.
What's
yeah,
the
that's
theme?
exciting. The theme is Find Your Voice.
Awesome.
Super broad.
And we have some fun stuff. We've got the puppets again, we've got an origami artist coming to teach the kids origami.
The magician who also does balloon animals. And we have the Natural History Museum from UL coming and they're gonna show like.
Okay,
Very exciting. And of course, we got the grant from the IRE program, so the money for all of that stuff is covered and it's not coming out of our.
oh, fantastic.
Pretty exciting. We also got the additional 250 from the IRE program to spend in their shop. So that was all spent on fun prizes and stuff like that for the kids to take home. And yeah, that's about all I have.
Well,
Do you have questions?
I just want to say thank you for all your work that you put into doing the 5K,
Absolutely.
especially being your first one and kind of being thrown into it. So
I'm
it was great.
pretty lucky. Sarah had so much already mapped out.
Yeah.
I kind of like half did it, you know?
But thank you.
You had to come in the middle of it though. Yeah.
Y'all ready for next year?
Do you have anything else like exciting that you're thinking about doing or like adding to the library or kind of upcoming plans other than, you know, what you've talked about with us so far?
Yeah, there's a couple more Heritage Pride months left this year. Next month is Military History Month and Pride Month. So I'm gonna have some displays for both of those. That's gonna be fun. My main priority right now, other than the summer reading program coming up, really is just developing the collection a little more. We are actually very, very under budget for books at the moment. So
She's gonna have to fix that, which means there'll be lots of new books in the library.
there's gonna be lots of new books, yeah.
Okay,
My biggest priority at the moment is early readers, so kind of picture books and adult fiction. Those are the pieces that are a little empty at the moment.
okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is sharing hands request.
So it's one part my fault that Deb is not here. I got a plaintive email from her earlier today. She was in back-to-back meetings all day and she asked if it would be possible. to find time. And I didn't tell her she had to, so if that is an unhappy thing, then be unhappy with me. She is asking for funds again for the emergency fund, which is the fund they use when it's not food related, but still really critical to somebody's well-being. It might help pay for medication. It might be gas so that they can get to work or get to the doctor's office. And I know that they have more needs every year than they can meet in that area. So she's asking for $500. I'm sure she would be happy with anything that you're willing to give. There is $500 left in that line item on that fund that you deliberately protected, I think. And she's just, I mean, I think, Counselor Romer mentioned after the OCOG board meeting that the emergency funds that bought extra food related to COVID are all gone. So, and the need has not really decreased that much. Sharon,
Actually gone up.
yeah. Yeah, so they still need our help.
Questions, comments? And entertain a motion.
I move that the governing body of the city of Halsey approve a community partners donation in the amount of $500 to Sharing Hands.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Yeah. We're gonna skip back up to Councilor Rhodes. I just want to jump on that sharing hands quick before it got lost in the shuffle. Sharing hands, since we're on that subject, Ken?
Yeah, well, you probably read the letter already.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at the numbers, they continue to go up every month or two. You see people being served. Hillary had mentioned that some of the funds have been cut. That we are getting originally federal money that went through the state to the food banks. Or to people rather receiving what do they call Oregon Trail cards for food. And so some people that were receiving several $100s are down to like $100 or less. They're receiving now. And these are generally families with small children. What we're seeing a lot of is families with small children needing help. We have quite a few kids in this community that without what the school does and Sharing Hands does would not be eating 3 meals a day.
It's actually a very sad and scary number.
Yeah. So the need's huge. And I can tell you from serving on the board, they are very careful with their funds. They don't waste money at all. And this request that we've just agreed to give them $500. That is not wasted. They're very careful about who they give money to that is in fact in need, not just handing it out to anybody that requests. I believe in what the organization does, and it serves just our community. The Brownsville Halsey area is who they're serving. I hope we'll continue to stand behind him. Where we have some plans to do some things that I can't report on yet, that I'm hoping next month I can give you a report on how we're moving forward.
Well, I appreciate you serving on that organization. It's just, like you said, needed quite desperately. Anyone else? Now we'll move on to Oklahoma School District.
I honestly, as I said, I'm attending a class with Nate from Rain on Monday and Tuesday nights, month of May. It's fantastic. So I didn't want to miss it last night because I was missing tonight. So all that to say, I did not go to the school board meeting.
Okay.
So there you go. Thanks.
Illuminating.
Yeah,
I got confused for a second.
yeah, no, didn't go.
So the next would be Kathy West Area Commission on Transportation with Randy, but he's not here. Did he happen to leave from you or? So then moving on to the Oregon Cascade West Council of Governments with Jeremy.
Also did not attend.
There you go.
So we'll just cruise right through that one too.
Amazing.
Very important.
It's, yes.
You could call me right back at you. So
It's fair.
So the next item is the small municipal embassy coalition intergovernmental agreements. Hillary.
So this is the agreement that goes with the partnership that council agreed to participate in. I think not the prior meeting, but the meeting before that. It's a one-year agreement, so it's something they'll try and see if it's useful. It's with Brownsville, Harrisburg, Monroe, Scioto, and Sotaville. It will tell you that Scott's goal is that we have 100 cities participating here. By the time it's time to consider if we want to renew this agreement or not. So he's really ready to put some work into this. The agreement is not, we're not spending enough money to hire a lobbyist to go do stuff for us. We're spending money so that we can educate ourselves. So it's still kind of a grassroots thing. There'll be trainings for council. There will be opportunities for councils from several cities to get together and talk about their commonalities and with help, with kind of like our goal setting session, with a process that helps to coalesce those priorities and helps to create action steps around that. So, and Scott and I were talking today with, once we have more cities, there will be cities within that have particular areas of interest. We might be working with a few other cities that have concerns about wetlands, for example. Out of that, we may see legislation that we need to respond to, letters that we send. We'll be, because we're the ones who care, we'll be investing our time in that where other cities may be investing their time somewhere else. But at the point where it's time to send that letter, we'll have all of those logos to put on and support. So it'll come from the whole group, not just from the smaller group. And so the idea is really to amplify those rural voices to, we won't win everyone, but just to make sure that that we're in the room, that people hear, be aware that this is going to impact Halsey differently than it will impact Portland. And this is, be aware. And we won't win all of them, but we can get in the room and we can do it in an organized way so that cities are backing each other up. So that's the goal, that's the plan. This is a very simple, very short agreement. It's for a single year, so you can try it. Exhibit A lists the deliverables, the things that we're trying to do with this agreement. And I think one of the things we're hoping to do ultimately is get the legislatures that work with the cities in this region into a room with councilors, business leaders, community leaders, rural voices, and have an event that one, it gives them access to a whole bunch of their constituents all at once. Two, it gives us an opportunity to tell that story and have those conversations.
So this is different than what Scott presented. This is a different group.
That was economics. That was economic development for this region. This is the advocacy.
Okay.
They both have an advocacy program component, but this is specifically advocacy.
This is specifically political. This is when, the legislature has 4,000 bills in front of it. Larger cities have their own lobbyists tracking the things that are going to impact them. We don't. So things go down, well, we're about to try to respond to the RV and camping situation, right?
Mhm.
Would have been great if we had noticed that in the sea of 4,000 bills and had an opportunity to say, hey, wait a second, have you thought about what this does to small communities that don't have a lot of extra land to do this with? So it doesn't give us a person, but it gives us some savvy so that we can be in the room with those conversations.
Yeah, Dan, and a motion.
I move that the governing body of the city of Halsey approve the Small Municipalities Advocacy Coalition intergovernmental agreement as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Does that come with any monetary? Like, do we have to buy into that? Is that?
Yes, and it's something that you had voted on 2 meetings ago. It's nominal. The maximum amount is $2,400. But as we recruit other cities in, that goes down because what we'll do is do combined training. So if we, if Tangent signs up, then maybe Tangent and Halsey will do our trainings together with the additional city in the mix. It will reduce our portion of that. It's another reason to do it for a single year so that you have that opportunity to say, hey, did we get enough out of that? Was that valuable for us? Or was that, okay, we tried it and maybe it's not where we want to put our resources next time?
I kind of look at it as a bunch of small feet, create a big footprint for home rule.
Bigger
Is this
voices.
the group that came out of the results of the survey that went out? To the state where
Yeah.
we all had to choose something, but nothing had to do with the small cities?
Yes, and we
Right.
sat down with the League of Oregon Cities and they basically said, well, we're gonna start our strategic plan and we hear you and we think what you're saying is important. And then they went away again and we looked at each other and we said, we need to think about if we want to do this for ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, right, okay.
I think the LOC is extremely well intentioned. I think they do some good things for cities. They do some trainings. But they also have, multiple mandates, you know, it's not, they work for all the cities and some of
Right.
those cities are metro, so. Somebody from Portland may be telling them the exact opposite of somebody from Brownsville, you know, and they've
Right.
got to try to serve all the cities, and I think they do that with sincerity. I think they're outnumbered in Salem, but I think their goals are sincere. But what we had talked about is having our perspective get watered down and not quite make it there, and that was pretty
Mhm.
visible in those priorities that you were voting on. last
Oh, it
summer.
was.
We had trouble finding anything that would even be valuable to us if they achieved it.
No, it was like, it wasn't fair, really, that we had to choose something
Yeah,
off that list, because there was nothing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, this was a response to that.
Okay.
That,
I remember it starting, I just was clarifying that that's what it was.
Anyone else? Okay, so the next item on the agenda is ordinances resolutions. And do I have council's permission to read the resolution by title only?
Yes, please.
Okay, resolution 2023-722. A resolution by the mayor of the city of Halsey proclaiming May 2023 as Mental Health Awareness Month. Any questions, comments, concerns from council? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that the governing body of the city of Halsey adopt resolution 2023-722, a resolution by the mayor of the city of Halsey proclaiming May 2023 as Mental Health Awareness Month.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. So the next item is going to executive session. Halsey City Council will go into executive session pursuant to ORS 192.660I to discuss the annual evaluation of city administrator. All discussions are confidential and those present may disclose nothing in the session. Representatives of the news media are allowed to attend executive sessions as provided by ORS 192.660, but must not disclose any information discussed. The members of the audience need to please leave the room. You want to, okay? Yeah, okay, we're executive session is closed at 8:25. And with that, we'll adjourn at 8:23.
There we go.